You think you're reading her smile, her softness, her body language. You think you're picking up chemistry, but most men miss what's actually happening in the first 5 minutes. Because the first thing that activates in you isn't wisdom, it's appetite. And appetite is not evil, it's not weak, it's normal, it's human, but it is also the fastest way to lose neutrality. The moment you want her, your mind starts negotiating against your own standards. You stop observing. You start hoping. You stop evaluating. You start performing. And while you're chasing a feeling, she's learning your pattern. Not because women are villains. Not because men are victims. Because attraction creates an imbalance in most people. And the person who stays calm in that imbalance controls the direction. Here's the truth men don't like to admit. Desire makes you predictable. Predictability makes you easy to steer. You can call it romance. You can call it passion. But the mechanics underneath are simple. The person who needs the outcome more loses leverage. The person who can walk away keeps power. And a lot of men lose power before the first date even happens. Not because she's better, because he's already invested in the idea. He's already attached to the fantasy. He's already spending emotional currency on a woman he hasn't vetted. That's the trap. Not her beauty, not her flirtation, your projection. Because lust doesn't just make you attracted, it makes you interpret everything in her favor. It makes you minimize red flags. It makes you excuse disrespect. It makes inconsistency feel like mystery. It makes scarcity feel like value. It makes breadcrumbs feel like progress. And if you don't understand that, you'll repeat the same story with different faces for years. New woman, same outcome, same confusion, same slow loss of self respect, same line you tell yourself at the end I don't know what happened. I'll tell you what happened. You lost neutrality. And once neutrality is gone, you're no longer choosing. You're trying to be chosen. That's the moment the dynamic flips. The real game is not attraction. The real game is the frame. Most men walk into dating thinking the battlefield is looks, charm, and confidence. Those matter, but they're not the deciding factor. The deciding factor is who holds the frame, who sets the pace, who defines the terms, who stays rooted when emotions rise, who refuses to bargain for basic respect. A man with a strong frame can feel desire without surrendering control of himself. A man without a frame gets pulled around by mood, hope, and attention like a dog on a leash. And this is where men get it twisted. They think the danger is that she might reject them. The real danger is that he'll accept a low standard just to avoid rejection. He'll accept confusion. He'll accept disrespect, disguised as playful. He'll accept inconsistency disguised as busy. He'll accept a relationship that feels like anxiety with occasional relief because his brain has already labeled her as a prize. So now he's negotiating with himself, not with her. That's what lust does. It turns your judgment into a defense attorney. It starts arguing against your own evidence. You'll see it in your own behavior. You reply faster than you normally would. You become available on command. You stop calling things out. You start keeping the peace. You start reading signals instead of requiring clarity. You start managing her moods like it's your job. You start fearing her distance more than you respect your dignity. And here's the brutal part. You think you're being loving, but what you're really doing is training her. You're training her that you can be moved, that you can be delayed, that you can be softened, that your boundaries are flexible when she withdraws warmth, that your standards collapse when you're afraid of losing access. That doesn't create love. It creates leverage, and leverage creates testing. Why mixed signals work so well on men, because men mistake uncertainty for meaning. A lot of guys call it mixed signals, but from a power perspective, it's cleaner than that. Uncertainty keeps you engaged. Clarity would free you. So uncertainty becomes the product. Here's how it usually plays out. She gives you a surge of warmth. The conversation is effortless. She laughs. She flirts. She feels close. You feel chosen. Then she cools off. Slow replies. Short answers. No initiative. Less enthusiasm. More distance. No explanation. And you don't say, that doesn't work for me. You say, what did I do wrong? You start adjusting. You start chasing the old version. You start working for the return of warmth. You start trying to earn what should have been. Consistent. That cycle is powerful because it creates addiction, not to her, to relief. Your nervous system learns cold feels like threat. Warm feels like safety. So you chase warm. You tolerate cold because the warm resets your hope. And hope is the leash. This isn't a female thing. This is a human thing. It's the same mechanism that keeps the people stuck in toxic friendships, chaotic jobs, unstable families. Intermittent rewards are the strongest hook. The question isn't whether some people use it. The question is whether you recognize it fast enough to refuse it. Because once you start craving the next hit of warmth, you are no longer operating from dignity. You're operating from deficit. And deficit is what manipulators feed on. The validation deficit that quietly ruins men. Most men don't fall apart because they want sex. They fall apart because they want validation. They want to feel wanted. They want to feel chosen. They want to feel like they matter to someone they find valuable. They want the proof. They want the confirmation. They want the win. And if a man hasn't built validation internally, he will chase it externally. He will chase it through women. He will chase it through attention. He will chase it through approval. He will chase it through conquest. He will chase it through being the guy she can't forget. But a man who needs validation can be controlled by the possibility of it. All you have to do is offer a little, then pull it back. Offer a little, then pull it back. And he'll do the rest to himself. He'll excuse things he would never excuse from a friend. He'll accept disrespect he would never accept from a coworker. He'll tolerate inconsistency he would never tolerate from a business partner. All because he's chasing a feeling, not a woman. And that's why men get played. Not because women are master villains. Because men underestimate their own hunger. How to tell when you're being steered. Here are the patterns men should stop romanticizing. Not because they prove she's bad. Because they prove the dynamic is unhealthy. 1. She won't give clarity, but she'll accept benefits. She wants your time, your attention, your consistency, but she won't define anything. She won't commit. She won't be accountable. You're not her boyfriend, but you're doing boyfriend work. 2. Your anxiety rises as her effort drops. You're doing more, she's doing less. And instead of addressing the imbalance, you try to earn your way back to normal. That's not love. That's conditioning. 3. She resets conflict with emotion instead of responsibility. Anytime you bring up something real, suddenly the topic becomes your tone, your insecurity, your overthinking. The facts disappear. The accountability disappears. Now you're comforting the person who caused the problem. That pattern destroys men. 4. Warmth appears right when you pull away, not when she misses you, not when she reflects, right when she senses your detachment. That's not connection. That's control maintenance. 5. Your standards keep shrinking. You used to want consistency. Now you're grateful for a reply. You used to want respect. Now you're trying to understand. You used to want clarity. Now you're going with the flow. That's the biggest red flag of all, not her behavior, your erosion, because your self respect never disappears in one day. It dissolves in small compromises that sound reasonable until you look up and realize you're living around someone else's unpredictability. The masculine correction: desire without surrender. The goal isn't to stop wanting women. The goal is to stop becoming weak when you want one. A disciplined man doesn't pretend he's emotionless. He just refuses to let emotion drive the steering wheel. He can feel attraction and still ask, does she add peace? Or take it, does she respect boundaries or test them? Is she consistent or chaotic? Is she accountable or slippery? Does her presence improve my life or destabilize it? That's what frame is. Frame is not being cold. Frame is not being cruel. Frame is being anchored. It's having rules. It's having standards. It's knowing what you tolerate and what you don't. And most importantly, it's being willing to lose her. Because the man who can lose her without collapsing is the man who cannot be controlled by her attention. So here are the rules that protect men from lust-driven self-destruction. Rule 1. Slow the pace, fast. If she's beautiful, your instincts want speed. Speed is your enemy. Speed is how you outrun your own judgment. Speed is how you commit to a fantasy before you see reality. Slow down immediately, not as a tactic, as self-respect. Move like a man who's interviewing for alignment, not auditioning for approval. If she's the right woman, slowing down won't break it. It will strengthen it. If she's the wrong woman, slowing down will expose it. Rule 2. Require clarity before investment. Do not build a relationship in fog. Fog is where men get drained. If she can't define what you are while accepting what you give, you're being used. Maybe intentionally, maybe unconsciously, but the outcome is the same. Clarity doesn't mean pressure. Clarity means adult communication. I like you. I'm moving with intention. If we're building, let's build. If not, I'll step back. A man who can say that calmly is already rare, and that calm is your power. Rule 3. Judge patterns, not moments. Most men get trapped by highlights. One amazing night, one passionate weekend, one long call, one sweet message, one apology, one tearful confession. Moments are cheap. Patterns are truth. A woman can be warm when she wants something. A woman can be sweet when she senses you pulling away. A woman can be affectionate when she's competing. A woman can be apologetic when she's cornered. None of that tells you who she is. Her pattern tells you who she is. Consistency over time is the only currency you should trust. Rule 4. Never negotiate for basic respect. If you have to negotiate for consideration, you're already losing. Respect is not something you should have to earn with obedience. If she's disrespectful, you address it once, calmly, directly. Then you watch behavior, not promises, not emotion, not "I didn't mean it," behavior. If the behavior doesn't change, you exit. No speeches, no revenge, no proving. You leave. That's not harsh. That's masculine. Rule 5. Kill the hope addiction. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is what keeps men in situations that cost them dignity. Hope is what makes you interpret scraps as progress. Hope is what makes you accept almost. Stop hoping she becomes consistent. Stop hoping she chooses you. Stop hoping the old version returns. Stop hoping your effort will unlock her. Replace hope with standards. If the standard is not met, you step back. Period. Rule 6. Build your life so she's not your only source of fuel. Most men are easiest to control when their life is empty outside women. No brotherhood, no mission, no structure, no momentum, no discipline. So her attention becomes the main drug. and now you're dependent. A man with purpose is harder to manipulate because he has something to protect. He has routines. He has goals. He has identity outside of her reaction. Build that. Not for women, for you. Women are not supposed to be the center of your life. They are supposed to be a complement to it. The real shift from craving to choosing. This is what separates men who get used from men who lead. The used man craves. The leader chooses. Craving makes you reactive. Choosing makes you deliberate. Craving makes you tolerant. Choosing makes you selective. Craving makes you chase. Choosing makes you observe. Craving makes you negotiate your dignity. Choosing makes you enforce your boundaries. And here's what happens when you make that shift. You stop being impressed by beauty alone. You stop being hypnotized by softness alone. You stop being disarmed by flirtation alone. You stop granting access to your time, attention, and commitment just because she's attractive. You start looking for what actually matters: character, consistency, accountability, respect, peace, alignment, maturity, emotional stability, how she handles discomfort, how she handles truth, how she handles no, how she handles your boundaries. And when a man starts evaluating like that, two things happen immediately. You stop getting played, and the women who only thrive on leverage lose interest because there's nothing to grip, nothing to pull, nothing to control, no fear, no chasing, no hunger, no begging, no bargaining, just a man standing upright. Final reality: the biggest trap isn't her tactics, it's your lack of sovereignty. Men love to blame women. Men love to call women manipulators. Men love to say it's unfair. But the truth is more empowering than that because it puts the solution back in your hands. You don't escape these dynamics by outsmarting women. You escape them by mastering yourself, by managing your desire, by holding your frame, by moving slowly, by demanding clarity, by requiring consistency, by walking away early, by building a life you refuse to trade for chaos. Because lust only becomes a weapon against you when you let it override your standards, when you make access more valuable than dignity, when you make her attention more valuable than your peace, when you make the outcome more important than your self-respect. So yes, your desire is real. Your attraction is real. The pull is real. But if you're a man, you're not meant to be ruled by what you want. You're meant to be guided by what you respect, what you value, what you refuse to tolerate, what you're willing to walk away from. And once you reach that point, the entire game changes. Not because you became cold, because you became sovereign, because you stopped auditioning and started choosing. That is the difference between a man who gets used and a man who is impossible to control.